Well, listening in to that conversation is Gauteng ANC spokesperson Mzi Khumalo. Mr. Khumalo, good evening to you and thanks for your time. Where does the ANC sit on the ongoing protests? Is it in support of the organizations that are mounting these campaigns?
Good evening, Cody, and good evening to your viewers. There was a bit of a technical thing. I would like you to repeat the question.
I'm asking whether the ANC supports the marches that are ongoing against illegal foreign nationals accessing healthcare in our country.
Well, Toli, we come from a point of view that says that we've got to ensure that we manage our borders. We've got to ensure that we create a balance between the social economic interest of the people of our country and that of the immigration or the immigrants as such. And secondly, we come from a point of view that whatever that we are doing, we've got to do it within the law. We must avoid temptations of taking the law in our hands as such. That is why what we are saying is that let us strengthen the Border Management Act itself. Let us ensure that we mobilize the law enforcement agencies to intervene where they have to intervene. We've got to categorize the migrant or the immigration challenge that we have. There are people who are in the country legally. There are people who are in the country illegally. Look, there cannot be a discussion on the people who came to this country illegally. We've got to ensure that we respect our constitution, and our constitution is very clear insofar as people who are in this country illegal as such. So what we need to do is to avoid the law of the jungle, but also to ensure that we do mobilize society behind these matters, but we mobilize them in such a way that there won't be any illegality on top of the illegality that we want to deal with.
So what's your answer in simple form? If you are here illegally, can you access medical care or are you not allowed?
You are allowed to access a medical care from a perspective that we have what we call a human right culture in our country, and our constitution is underpinned by the human right culture. If a human being, and the constitution regards us as human being as such, if a human being is standing before a hospital and require medical attention, as a country we carry a responsibility to can do that. However, the point that I want to emphasize is that there are standards and norms that are being used even internationally, even in our country, the protocols that we need to follow. For instance, if we help a person from Lesotho or a person from England and all of those things, their state has to pay for the services that the country has provided to their citizens as such.
All right.
And that's one area. That's one area that has been a weakness that we've really, particular government has not ensured that there's actual emphasis and implementation of that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was the standpoint of the former premier of this province, David Makhura. This was at the time that he was premier. He was clear that the countries whose nationals are here and are accessing medical care, they have to pay. How far have you gone in making sure that that is implemented?
You will know that in the last 2 weeks, the matter has been a challenge, particularly for the Department of Health. And you would have seen that the MEC of Health in the province would have issued a statement that there are mechanisms that they are put in place as government to ensure that we realize exactly that point where these countries will then pay. The point I'm making is that if you look at when the Premier then raised the issue and where we are now, we've got to accept that progress has been a bit slow. Because the matter is complex, it's not as simple as we see it. It includes issues of international protocols and all of those kind of processes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give us an excuse that up until thus far we have not implemented.
Final question, and very briefly, if you can. The immediate solution for people like Action SA leader Herman Mashaba is that to avoid all of this confrontation that is going on now, it's to simply deport people who are here illegally. Is the ANC in support of that?
Well, I think I listened to Mr. Mashaba a bit, and I think the notion that the clause that the people, South Africa belongs to all, is the one that creates a problem for our country is not correct. Because even the same constitution talks about us managing the entry and the exit of the people who come to this particular country. So look, if a person is in this country illegally, there is no way we can justify their stay in the country. They have to be deported. That is why we're talking about the undocumented people. That's why we're talking about the illegal people. That's why we encourage in situations where people can be able to ensure that they're in this country legally. They need to do so. That's why we want government to review the visa regime to ensure that it doesn't make it difficult for people with specialized skills who want to make economic contribution to our country, to make those economic contribution. Time has passed where we can sit here and try to justify anyone who is in this country illegal. You can see the word itself. It says illegal. And how then do you justify the fact that a person is in this country illegal? We know, me and you can't go to any country illegally. So,
indeed. Thank you very much for your time. And so we'll have to see how the situation on our streets gets resolved then ultimately. Mzi Khumalo speaks for the Gauteng ANC.